Did you know that St. Luke's University Health Network, based in the Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, has been recognized by the U.S. government as the highest performing health system in the United States for quality? You heard right. St. Luke's #1 recognition affirms our status as the top leader among the most respected healthcare providers in the nation, including Houston Methodist and the Mayo Clinic. To state it simply, if you want to receive the best care when you go to a hospital, come to St. Luke's.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi. Okay, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
So, once upon a time, we had a candidate for the presidency of the United States, previously United States Senator from California, and previously an Attorney General from California and DA of San Francisco. And her name is Kamala Harris. Now, for those of you who want to bother remembering her, because she really should be in the dustpan of history, because she's got to be one of the worst candidates ever, one of the least qualified human beings ever to hold major offices. She comes out in an attempt to resurrect her career and political viability and says, it's time to talk about crazy ideas. Let me say that again. It's time to talk about crazy ideas. And to her credit, she came up with a lot of crazy ideas, Jesse and Eric. So, for example, she wants to abolish the Electoral College. She wants to pack the Supreme Court. She wants to make Puerto Rico and District of Columbia states. She wants to do everything that subverts checks and balances, the constitutional order that has gotten to us to almost 250 years of a republic that has worked. Has it been perfect? No. Did we fight a civil war? Yes. Have we had a period of crisis and problems? Of course. But we've done it in a legitimate, reasonable way, under the rule of law, with respect to our institutions. What she's fundamentally saying is, I don't like the institutions because I can't get my political agenda and my positions in play. So she's all for, quote, democracy, but only, and systems, but only when they work to her advantage. When they don't work to her advantage, and out of the radical left, what does she do? Destroy them all. She put in a state of chaos. Do you really want to eliminate the Electoral College? Then you'll have, 10 or 12 blue states through population control the destiny of everybody else in this country. What a great idea. Do you really want to have a Supreme Court where you're constantly packing it and adding more and more members because you don't get a result? So how do you get an honest legal read of the Constitution of the United States? Do you really want to put in a system where Puerto Rico and District of Columbia get statehood, and you now are packing it with 4 additional United States senators, so the Democrats will forever control the United States Senate? Eric.
So, channeling my inner Kamala, let me say this about that. I think I could see what I saw and think what I thought, because I was thinking as I was seeing. And then I saw what I thought I was seeing, and I think I thought that I saw. And the idea, you know what I mean, was really a thought, and it was a great idea. And I had that thought, and I told you that thought. And as I think about it, I didn't really see what I saw because I forgot what I thought. And I'm thinking I should think more great things. Vote for me. The end.
That's great. Absolutely great. You have anything to add to that? Or does that speak for itself?
I think it kind of speaks for itself, but I think it sums up the conclusion that the woman's an imbecile.
Well, and just think that she was the nominee of one of our 2 great parties, and then she got an even bigger imbecile to run as her vice presidential candidate, the absolutely intellectually bankrupt, morally corrupt, legally suspect governor of Minnesota, who rubber-stamped and ignored one of the great frauds in American history, the Somalia fraud against our Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security system in the billions of dollars, and looked the other way, along with the Attorney General of that state. So that was the ticket that they wanted to impose on the people of the United States. 2 of the biggest fools who have no sense of responsibility, no competence, no values that make for the sustaining of this great Republica, Harris and Walsh.
I think that just demonstrates, Richard, what a bigot you are, because you pointed that out. I think.
Thank you. Jesse, rally to my defense, please.
I'm rallying to the fact that Kamala Harris is an idiot, and she's just dumb in general. Honestly, if there's one stretch, if you want to give her one strand of what she was thinking, and God knows no one can understand what goes on in between those two ears, is that what you're seeing is the continuing salvos of her stepping into the 2028 presidential primary. That's what she's doing right now. And the definition of winning that primary is who can be the bigger idiot and who can give more free stuff away at the expense of taxpayers' money. That's what the Democratic Party is. I'm going to take exception to judge to what you said. I mean, I hate doing this with you. There are no two great political parties in the country. There's one. It's the Republican Party. Shortly after is the Conservative Party. The Democrat Party, as we knew it, does not exist. It is run by democratic socialists and progressives that all they want to do is to destroy our relationship and the existence of Israel and to use our taxpayer money, hard-earned monies of people on Main Street and hardworking families, and give it to illegal aliens and illegal criminals, and so that they can have a bunch of free grocery stores, free bus rides, and they can buy their way into elections in urban centers.
Well, to that point, Jesse, that's a great segue, because I want to ask you the following, Jesse. AOC, she is a radical intellectual, lightweight, and she's foolish and dangerous ideas that she possesses. This is a woman who believes that so-called billionaires don't earn their money. They do it by exploiting other people, which shows a colossal ignorance of the capitalist system, who gets rewarded and who fails in the capitalist system, and the ability of the capitalist system to provide goods and services and elevate the quality of life for everyone. And I just don't get it. She wants to have government control everything, and when government controls everything, they fail what they try to do, and they want to redistribute hard-earned wealth created by people who give back to the community, whether it's charities, cultural institutions, educational institutions, scientific or medical research. Jesse, your thoughts?
Well, it's true. I mean, this is a continuation of the Kamala Harris type of candidacy and the way of governance. This is the way of Mandami. These are individuals that truly have no idea what's going on. They are the new breed of Democrat socialists. It's government by soundbite. It's government by viral video on social media. There is no substance to any of this. It's that they're going to say and do whatever they can for one thing. That is the accumulation of power, influence, and their own personal greed. I have not seen it recently, but I would love to see the way that the amount or the percentage that AOC's personal wealth has grown in the years that she's served in Congress, like those of her other squad members, like Omar from Minnesota, to see how they have made it a enterprise, a private enterprise of success monetarily for themselves, while their constituencies suffer. Let's say if you walk through AOC's district, what you're going to see are burnt down buildings. You're going to see closed down businesses, and you're going to see a bunch of hookers, illegal aliens, and drug dealers. That's the type of community, and homeless. That's what she is. That is what the type of representation she is bringing to her district. And I have to tell you, just like as a political leader, just like in 2016 and in 2020 and in 2024, I hoped that Bernie Sanders was going to be the standard bearer presidential candidate for the Democratic Party. I hope that AOC is one of the presidential candidates and is successful either on the ballot, because there before the American people, we will put the difference between the Republican candidate that believes in self-determination, freedom, liberty, the ability to rise up from whatever system or community you may live to be successful and achieve the American dream, as opposed to these corrupt individuals that have no substance and only care about their personal greed, influence, and power.
Eric.
Jesse, you don't know what you're talking about. Your family's from Cuba. They don't know from a what are you talking about?
Yeah, what would you know about communism?
And we left.
I mean,
What
really.
do you know about liberty and free markets and capitalism, what they do? Your family could have lived the joy of communism. You chose to leave.
The joy of collectivism. I feel warmer in this studio right now.
Wow, so
just
much
thinking
warmer.
about the joy
So much
and the
warmer.
warmth of collectivism.
It'd be more spectacular. What amazes me, particularly on the Democratic side, you have a bunch of people that have never run a business, never met a payroll, never took an economics class, and are a bunch of financial imbeciles deciding what how the American economy should work. It's just unbelievable to me.
Speaking about idiocy, gentlemen, how do you
He
like...
just described Mandami.
Right, well, no, hold on.
Well,
I want to broaden the
Don't
discussion.
get me wound up again.
Well, hold on. I want to broaden the discussion. You said Mandami. I want to add Hochul. Hochul is just sold out during the negotiations with Mandami in terms of the state budget. And what do they want to do? They want to have wealth taxes. They want to have a so-called pied-à-terre tax for people who don't have their primary residence. They took the number down, gentlemen, from $5 million price down to $1 million. That means anybody who has a co-op or a condo or a single-family home is close to that $1 million. And then if you want to make a purchase and you want to pay cash rather than getting a mortgage, you're going to have to pay a 2% surcharge on that. How's that going to help? Jesse.
Well, it doesn't. What this tells me, number one, it's a complete shenanigan and just an abuse of financial negligence of financial distribution of funds and taxpayer monies. But what I want to speak to, and I'll let Eric speak to more of the issues in terms of the economy, but the political nature here. We are now sitting 6 weeks away from primary day here in the state of New York. Governor Hochul has no primary challenger. She's got a clear field right through November. The fact that she is still kowtowing to the Mandamis of the world, to New York City's Democratic Socialist hierarchy, is indicative that she is so concerned about her numbers internally that she needs to make sure that this base is with her. Because originally, her endorsement of Mandami was to avoid a primary. Her endorsement of her $1.5 billion initial bailout to him was, again, to avoid a primary, because that's what this is all about. Now the fact, though, is that even in her budget, she continues to double down, if not quadruple down, with a package of about $4 billion of taxpayer monies from Long Island, from Westchester, from upstate New York, to fund the failed policies of New York City. For me, as an observer of politics, numbers and polling and candidacies and campaigns, this tells me that this race for governor between Bruce Blakeman, the Republican conservative candidate, and Kathy Hochul is a lot closer than the Siena poll will let you believe, or these public polls will let you believe, that this is a lot closer and that Kathy Hochul is doing everything possible to make sure she shores up the long-term support through November of her base.
Eric, final thoughts.
Yeah, no, I agree with 100% of what Jesse just said. I think that analysis is spot on. The woman, Jesse, I think you'll know better than I think the number she needs is 65% of the 5-borough vote in order to carry the state. So she desperately needs Mamdani. And what this is really the canary in the coal mine. The people should be asking yourself, if she's making these concessions before the election, what does she promise to do after the election? I mean, the tax rates are going to go sky high, but people should keep in mind the minimum rate, 30%, 50%, 60%, it's zero. That's the minimum rate, because people are going to vote with their feet. People who can afford to leave, which are the people that they're taxing and abusing and bad-mouthing, are going to pick up and leave. And if you think people are going to leave because of these taxes, this inheritance tax that they're talking about, bringing it down to $500,000 and something like 50 or 60% of what you leave to your survivors will be taken by the state. Basically, you will have worked all your life just to give it away to New York State. People are not going to stay for that. Anyone who has any degree of wealth is just going to pick up and leave. They're not going to die in New York.
But it's not even what, they use the word wealth. That's middle class. You own a home. You own an apartment.
That is middle class.
Well, that's it. for who believe that private property is a crime, who people believe that private property should be outlawed and that government should own the means of production, the communists. The middle class has no right to exist. It should all be flattened out. Everybody should be equally poor. It's not a matter of gradations of wealth. Everybody should be equally poor.
Much more fair, comrades. Much more fair.
Oh, well, yeah, well, it's all about social justice, baby.
Thanks for listening to Let the Record Show with Judge Weinberg, Chairman Jesse Garcia, and Eric Lavine. You can hear Let the Record Show Sunday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?